to Nicola Palios. I'm delighted she is the chair of our Visitor Economy Board. And if I can ask Nicola to introduce herself and talk about the role of the Visitor Economy Board, and that might help everyone here understand just how we all work together. Thanks, Nicola.
Okay, thank you, Natalie. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I'm sure everybody's very busy at the moment trying to get their head around how and when they can start opening for business. As some of you may know, I'm the Vice Chairman at Tranmere Rovers, and we also own the River Hill Hotel and Restaurant. So in terms of the visitor economy, I have sort of two different hats on. One is the hospitality and one is the attraction hat. And like most businesses, I think we all came to a crashing halt back in March. In terms of your Visitor Economy Board, obviously in normal times we are focused on the sort of long-term issues for the sector, addressing things like training, the direction, the future direction for Wirral as a region, and how we can maximise the visitor economy sector. In the current environment, I think we're very much focused on trying to make sure that all visitor economy businesses are signposted to the help and support that is available, because I am conscious that it's easy to get bombarded with so many different statements and updates coming out that it can be hard to keep track. So we're going to try and pick out the ones that are very specific to visitor economy members and feed those to you. The other thing that I'm keen that we do, and it would be interesting to see whether there is the ability to do some of that at the session towards the end of this today, is around sharing best practice rather than us all trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm sure our speakers today are going to give us a lot of help and guidance in terms of what is it we need to do, how do you get around certain issues, what are the legalities of certain things. I am very firmly of the view here that we are all in this together, and that Wirral will be better if we can work collaboratively on some of these matters rather than competitively, because at the end of the day, it's only if there are enough of us able to get up and running that we become a destination that people want to come to visit. So it's one of those unusual situations, I think, where we really are better off trying to work together rather than all reinventing the wheel. And the third thing I think that we want to do during this period is to do lobbying where necessary, and that's to make sure therefore that we understand the particular issues that people in the visitor economy are wrestling with, and if that requires support or change in regulations or something being done differently, that we can be a sort of unified voice to try and lobby on members' behalves. So I'm going to stop rabbiting on, because you've got a lot more interesting speakers than me to listen to today. Just two things that I would ask. I will let each speaker decide whether they are happy to have questions asked as they go along, or whether they would rather leave it to the end of their sessions. But please, could everybody stay on mute if you're not talking, because you tend to find, particularly when there's a lot of parties on, that you start getting feedback and echoes if too many people have got their speakers on. And if you want to raise a question, there is a raise your hand feature. I'm sure I'm teaching you all to suck eggs. We've probably all done more Zoom meetings in the last 3 months than we ever contemplated doing in our lives. But just in case you're a newbie to it, there's a raise your hand function that I assume you'll be driving that, will you, Natalie, in terms of any questions? Okay, so on that note, I'm going to hand you over to our first speaker, and we're very lucky today, I think, that we've got Scott Grime from Visit England, who's going to be able to give us a really helpful perspective, not just Wirral wide, but countrywide in terms of what's going on in our sector. So over to you, Scott.
Thank you very much. Just going to share my screen. Okay, yeah. So, like I mentioned, there's a lot of work going on business economy at the moment. So we've been doing a lot of things, a lot of different things than what we usually do, and trying to evolve and trying to really engage with as many businesses and DMOs as we can to try and understand a lot of the issues to feed that back. So one of the this is kind of what our role has taken during COVID-19. So number 1 and 5 is more kind of internal the organisation. But the other 3 there, so we advise government and work with policy. So you may have seen last month, a couple of months ago, we sent an 18-page proposal to government. Some of those ideas were things like the proposed bank holiday for October and all the different changes that we might see there. We have a strand around supporting industry. So we do have a webinar series coming out with lots of panelists. So the first one of that will be on the 30th of June, which will go through our research and insights. And following on from that, we will have a business adaptation and reopening webinar, which will come in on the 2nd of July. And that's using different members, different bodies such as National Trust RHS, hotel groups, and tour operators that will all speak on there and some of the ideas that we've got. And then we've got strand 4, which is all about our marketing efforts, and it says there, one unified Britain message. So we're trying to work really pan-Britain on this, so England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland, and really trying to push more visitors and more money for the economy. And I'll go through these in a little bit more detail. So in terms of advising government, so we have been right in there from the beginning with other industry bodies as well as ourselves to advise government. So Patricia has spoken in the select committee with DCMS. We hold the tourism industry emergency response group who meet every week to discuss different issues. So part of my role now, so I am the tourism education development manager. So you may have met me if you came to our Taking to Well with Wirral at Craig and Lisa's hotel, a Hillbark hotel. You may have met me then. So we really look after the area. So my other role at the moment is I look after the northwest, the northeast, and Yorkshire, and all the DMOs there. So as part of that work, every time I have a conversation, any issues that get brought up, we feed that into the tourism industry emergency response group, who then use that to form their agenda and discuss the points. We have daily briefings with the industry that go out, and the DMOs share situation and updates and everything that we get coming out there as well. We do modelling and economic forecasting for DCMS to show the impact that COVID's having, and that helps again inform policy and change decision. And the biggest piece of work we've got in terms of research at the moment, and I'll show you some snapshots of that a little bit after this, is monitoring consumer sentiment. And that's towards domestic and international travel to try and see where the sentiment is going at the moment, and that's done weekly. So in terms of marketing, we focus on 4 different stages of recovery. So currently in the crisis phase where we've got travel lockdowns. So in terms of consumer messaging, it's been about maintaining positive sentiment on British culture. So we've done lots of different topics such as literature, film, media, TV, food and drink, that kind of thing. And that's all had a call to action, so people have been able to do something with it. And in terms of our industry marketing, is all about advice and support and signposting in the industry. So we are about to start looking at moving into early recovery. So as we start to see some of the restrictions loosen, and that's about keeping England and Britain and its experiences front of mind. So there is currently a call out. If anybody's got any news stories or any content around this, you can email press@visitengland.org or press@visitbritain.org. If you go to our visitbritain.org website, all the information's on there as well. And then, so that's due to kind of start late June, just before lockdown comes, so soon as the restrictions start to end. And then after restrictions have changed, we're looking at then moving into recovery, which is about managing demand. So we're currently speaking with different destinations to see where people are keen to get people traveling to, where there may be some resident resistance, that kind of thing, so we can target the right places and manage the demand properly. And that's about reassurance messaging on the ways to travel safely, including signposting to any open businesses that we know about or through the DMOs. And again, there's a call to action for there that we're looking for information for that campaign as well. So again, visitbritain.org for any information if you've got any good stories for that. And then we'll eventually move to recovery, and that's about building and maintaining demand. And that's where we start to switch it up. So mainly we're focusing on domestic at the moment, and then that'll switch once we get to full recovery, that we'll start to get a bit more international consumer messaging going as well, to really start to bring people back. One of the biggest pieces of work we've got going on at the moment is the recovery industry standard that's being worked on. So a little bit of background of this, we found that there were quite a lot of different destinations creating their own kind of industry standard or mark to say that businesses are following the regulations and the guidelines. And we had a call from the industry to say, can we do it as one central scheme instead of having lots of different schemes within lots of different destinations? And the idea behind it is to give confidence to businesses, and then reassure visitors and residents that the businesses in the area are following the right guidelines, that it is that we're following the right steps, we've got social distancing in place, that kind of thing. And that's tying into Public Health England guidelines, World Health Organization guidelines, and then also the industry body guidelines as well. So in terms of this, you'll kind of be guided to all three, and you'll need a risk assessment in place to make sure that you're following guidelines, you're taking them into consideration, that kind of thing. So we're working with a lot of different industry organisations now, just to name a few. We've got National Parks, NCTA, the Forestry Commission, Alva, National Trust, Balfour, Merlin, HHA, UK Hospitality, Camping and Caravan Club. The list is phenomenal. Once you start to scratch the surface, you find a lot of industry bodies out there. Even down to really specific things like Biarza, who look after zoos and aquariums, and so on. So as part of this, it's just about getting that message out there. So this will be tied into the recovery campaign to really show people that there is there'll be a standard out there for people. All intents and purposes, it should hopefully launch within the next week or so, as the guidelines come out from the government, so that we can then start getting people in place and getting the kind of mark and standard in place ready for reopening as well. It's completely free to any business as well, so you don't have to be a member or anything. You don't have to pay any money towards it. You literally apply through our channels and go from there. We did have a few learnings from it when we started to plan this. So the idea is to keep it simple, so it'll be completely online. It is self kind of assessed, so you fill it in completely, and then we've got funding for doing spot checks. So we'll spot check between 5 and 10% randomly to see how they're going on, and we'll also have a method that people can kind of whistle blow on this as well, to just in case there's any issues that come up there. So like I say, it's there to reflect official guidance. We're trying to make sure that it's Britain, so pan-Britain, so that it goes into Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland as well. And there'll also be an element of helping people with the guidance as well. So if you're not a member of any of the bodies that can't get the official guidance, even that's through UK Hospitality, for example, we'll have a call centre that can help with that as well. There were a few different asks as well that we found. So inclusion of regional theatres and galleries was one. There was a bit of a gap with B&B. So the B&B Association are working with UK Hospitality to plug that gap. Similar for campsites. So farm campsites are covered by DEFRA, which again was a different kind of guideline. So UK Hospitality are picking up some of that and working with Camping and Caravan as well. So lots of different things coming out there. But as I say, hopefully the final sign-off should come fairly quickly, and then it should be rolled out hopefully next week or within the next week kind of thing. On top of that, we have our business advice hub, which has been linking out and navigating to all the different government advice and support, which comes in thick and fast, as you'll all know, and really trying to point to as much of that is useful for the visitor economy as possible for tourism and hospitality. Visit England Awards. So these are still going ahead. They're now virtual instead of the actual event which was in Hull. National judging is taking place over June. And then 2021 awards are also underway. So some areas like Kent, for example, are open for applications already. We did our first virtual English Tourism Week, which was quite difficult. So this was about engaging with MPs and really showing the value of tourism and hospitality. So MPs were encouraged to take part by sharing photos, using statistics to show the importance of the sector in their area. And we had quite a lot of feedback from this. So this reached, I can't remember the actual figure off the top of my head. So Drew did 29 interviews across TV and radio, who's our England director. We also had a reach of around 9 million in terms of how many people actually saw all the media campaigns. I think there was 229 off the top of my head stories that went out around English Tourism Week to show the importance of tourism for the UK economy. As I mentioned, we've been doing consumer sentiment research. So we've done 2 waves now. The next wave will probably come out Friday or Monday, and it's a weekly survey to track the change in sentiment. The idea of ours was to track it in terms of people's perceptions over the next month, so we could really see what changes some of the guideline implications had, so we can start to see where people are wanting to go. So we can see there that things like national mood out of 10 is 6.7, so it's relatively high. And then we can see that things like perceptions to the situation regarding COVID-19, so 29% of people think the worst has passed, which has gone up since last week. Risk score has gone up slightly. People don't think we're going to get back to normality quite as quick as they did last week. People are still concerned about government guidelines and restrictions on travel, and concerns about catching COVID-19 and so on there. So all this is available for free online as well at visitbritain.org. I can put a link into the chat to the survey so you can all see this as well. Some of the interesting ones here are things like leading UK destination likely to stay in between June and September. So this week, the Northwest was mentioned as well as a second top destination. The main type is they're looking for traditional coastal or seaside, or then city and towns or countryside and villages. That changes most weeks. And looking to stay in hotels or private homes or caravan and camping, if I can speak correctly. And then people looking to do as much outdoor activity as they possibly can, and outdoor attractions and that kind of thing. So that is really being tracked every week to really show. So as we see restrictions change, it's always about a week behind because it takes us a week to analyse the data. We'll really start to see some of these change as well. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to go through in that sense. Just because I need to leave this slightly earlier than most, does anybody have any questions that they want to ask me particularly?
Scott, it's Natalie. Can I just raise something? Is it possible that we can have a copy of these slides? Or
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll send these.
And then I can share that obviously with the members and anyone here who's wanting to know a bit more information, read at their leisure. So okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
No problem.
And the industry standard that you've got, and forgive me if I missed this, does this cover sort of mass participation events, so sort of attractions who would attract large crowds as opposed to the hospitality sector?
Yeah, so we're working with events at the moment. So we've just started looking at business events and things like that to start seeing how we can incorporate the events into it. So Janet is currently working with Kerry McPhee from our events department and other event industry bodies to try and make sure that they're covered in this as well. Yeah. Okay. So as long as the industry bodies can create the guidelines around it, then they'll be able to be included.
Okay.
And sorry, Natalie, again, Scott, is it worth mentioning that as soon as you have more official news, Scott will feed it into me, and then I can obviously share that with the Vista Economy Network?
Yeah, so as soon as that comes out, we'll pass it through everybody to make sure it can go out to their mailing lists, so we can get moving as fast as possible. The key thing I think will be that it will need a risk assessment and things like that. So that's one thing to start probably thinking about if you want to speed up the process a little bit.
Great. Well, that might tie into Craig. I don't know, but we'll see. Thanks, Scott. That's great.
No problem.
Okay, thank you, Scott. I think that was really useful, particularly the industry standard. I think is something that we can all sort of focus on in terms of just channeling our thoughts around what we need to get done to get opening in a safe way. So that leads us neatly on to Craig Campbell from CC Leisure Solutions, who is going to be talking to us on his thoughts on what a reopening plan does indeed look like. So over to you, Craig.
Hello, everyone. I know you can't say hello back, but it's always nice, isn't it? So I work in the leisure industry. I've been in it for about 25 years. I'm from Birkenhead originally, which is one of the reasons why I've obviously offered my help out free of charge for yourselves. Now, what when this all started kicking in and COVID started kicking in and all the shops and everything started getting closed down, I personally decided to try and have a break for 3 weeks. So I played with the kids, I did what I could. I quickly came back and started speaking to some of my customers, the likes of Liverpool Council or Active Luton, or I look after about 125 councils and trusts throughout the UK. And I quickly realised that they didn't have a plan, they were waiting for guidance. I'd seen some of the guidance come out and I quickly realised it was like Chinese whispers. So what I decided to do is I tried to put a plan together to help everyone to have a look at what they're going to need to consider before they can reopen and before they can do this in the best possible way. What I also realised by reading all the guidance was that guidance is literally the least you need to do. It's not exactly what you need to do to get your business up and running. It's the least you need to do to stop people from dying in your facility. And we need to also start to consider sort of business measures. So what I'm going to do for today's part is I've already done this now to 470 odd organisations throughout the UK. Because I've done this, I'm now been put onto I'm on a Welsh Government Advisory Committee, I'm on the Scottish Advisory Committee, and I'm also working on behalf of the Chartered Institute of Sport and Physical Activity. So I've sort of got into quite a few different bits and pieces, but the idea behind this is that when their guidance came out, you can see here, I've got a little guide on my map. So if it's got a red flag next to it, that basically means that it's a must do in terms of guidance. In terms of the yellow flag, that's a should do. So you should do these things, but it's not guidance, so you don't have to. Green is could do, and these are the niceties. I quickly also realized there was a lot more to it. So anything you see with a little blue mark next to it, this is basically, it means training's going to be needed. Anything with a green little box with a pen in means there's a decision to be made. And anything with a little sort of silver star is good business decision, because like I said before, you know, in the guidance, you won't find anything about how to market your business to make the best of the opportunity, but it totally and utterly makes business sense to do that. If you're going to be closed for this long, the relaunch is important. So it's got some business advice in there as well. Now, obviously, as I go through this with you, I'm not going to go through the whole thing today, and I'm going to show you why. So I'll start off by going into PPE and protecting staff. So in here, what we've basically got is, this is the idea about, I'm a big fan of anywhere where I've worked, I don't want to put my staff in danger. So although guidance might say that they don't need PPE, well, caring for staff might mean something different than the guidance, and public confidence will definitely mean something different than what the guidance does. I'll give you an example of PPE alone. So PPE works in hospitals. We know that's a certain grade. It also works in nursing homes. For some reason, it also works in Scotland. It's about to start working in Wales. And at the minute in England, it only seems to work on public transport. Now, we know there's loads of evidence to prove to us that PPE works, but there's also a load of evidence to prove that people can't get hold of it and the government don't want to look silly. So again, when I advise you in here, I will advise you as exactly what is needed in terms of guidance, but I'll also be advising on information that will obviously push the public confidence up. So again, in the process of doing it, I've been looking at loads of studies that have happened in different countries. In terms of, there's a load of stuff that's happened in Germany, Sweden, they never closed down most of their centres. Now, obviously, they've got track and trace and they do proper testing. They don't just talk about it, etc., etc. So there's a whole load of different issues that they have. But I've tried to look at all the sorts of best practice around the world. Like originally, I did this starting off with obviously leisure centres, but I've been and had meetings with the likes of Tesco, Asda, quite a few supermarket chains, just to find out what issues they had and what were the biggest things that they changed, just so I could build it into the plan. So as I say, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I'm going to show you an example of what I will be doing. So I've got a 2.5-hour webinar on Friday where every single person will get everything that they see. So everything that I show you now will basically be available free of charge. I'm not charging anything at all for it. I'm still on furlough, so I'm not allowed to, which is always good. But the idea behind it is that I sort of made a decision that I can either sit and moan about furlough, or I can do something for the industry, and now obviously for the place where I was sort of born, in terms of the Wirral. So you can see here we've got staff. Now, obviously, the first decision you need to make is what PPE is going to be needed. Now, you'll have different places. Now, any guidelines that's come out basically says you have to have guidance for any cleaning that you do, which was exactly the same as prior to COVID. Okay, so the new guidance has said that we've got to do exactly the same as we did before. So if you're doing cleaning and you're using certain chemicals, then obviously you've got to use PPE. For any sort of reception desks or any places like that, again, the PPE, theoretically in terms of guidance, isn't needed. Now, obviously, this changes if your job role means that you touch people, like a hairdresser, where you'd have to change gloves and apron after every single person that you've done. If you're a physio, it would be the same. Obviously, if you're working in a restaurant where you can sort of limit the touch, or a pub, etc., then theoretically there's nothing needed. But theoretically there's nothing needed in any of the supermarkets that you've seen. But they quickly realised that public confidence went up massively as soon as they brought this stuff in. So the idea behind it, you've got to decide what each member of staff would or shouldn't be needed. Again, let's say, for instance, you've got a receptionist and they can't move away to go and wash their hands, then you have to provide them with hand sanitizer. Where are you going to get it from? That's a different kettle of fish, but you have to provide them with the ability to be able to wash their hands. So if they're stuck on reception and it means they can't get away, then we need to do something about it. Now, as I start to do this, you'll see things like, as I start to talk about visors, for instance, I know that this is something that people are massively struggling to try and get hold of stuff. Now, most of your PPE companies have run out. Obviously, that's why the NHS can't get hold of anything. So I know that Wirral Chamber of Commerce are using approved PPE at the moment, because that's how I got in touch with yourselves. So all I've done is use their pricings and things like that, just to give you an idea of what things would cost. Now, obviously, if you're going to wear things like a visor, it's a personal thing. Everyone needs their own individual one, which will drive the cost up. Now, if you were to get a screen instead, you're still doing the same thing, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper in the long run, and a hell of a lot more comfortable for your staff in terms of turning it down. So again, here, I'm not going to go through this whole thing with you now, because it opens up a whole can of worms, but I am going to show you what I'm going to do on the day. Obviously, if you, depending on the size of your business, you may have a staff room. Well, that's a place where people are going to congregate. So what a lot of organisations are saying is that they're just going to close the staff room, or they're going to have a booking in session where I might be able to have someone from the kitchens, I might be able to have someone from reception and someone from service at any one time. So we might have to have a booking slots for our staff rooms. Staff ratios. Now, the biggest thing that we're finding in any sort of shop now is queue management is absolutely key. You've probably seen already that the likes of Aldi have already got a system that has a traffic light system. That they come in at about £600–700, which seems dear until you've got someone manning it for something. I don't know how many hours a week are you going to be open. That also becomes very, very costly. Within a week, you'll realise that you probably should have ordered one of the traffic light systems. So the idea behind this, I'm going to cover all these different things. For now, what I want to do is I just want to open up and show you just how much we need to talk through when we do the full session. Now, I don't want to scare people, but I do want people to realise that there's a hell of a lot to do. Some of it's quite quick, it's quite tick boxes. So all we've got here is we understand all the PPE, what we need to do and how we can protect staff. Within my guidance, there's certain posters that I've got from the World Health Organization, so you can use these free of charge in your staff rooms or on your walls, etc. I've also got an organisation that has put a campaign together for you, which is the We Are Here campaign, which I'll show you on the full session. So the idea behind it, you can see here all the PPE and protective. Cleaning needs to be done to certain. If I hear the word deep clean again, it baffles me. I've been into some sites and they think that's when you actually use a cloth and not a tissue or a wipe. But the reality behind it is that to do a clean, you need to remove all the dirt, bacteria, viruses. Then you need to let it air dry, and then you need to sanitize it, and that is what is deemed as a deep clean. Because if I heard anyone else saying, well, just do a deep clean every 10 minutes, it's not going to happen. So the idea behind it is that I'm going to talk through all of this. These are certain COVID checks that you may need to do on people before they come in. The guidance is basically that you don't have to do anything apart from reporting sickness. Now, how are you going to phase your business? Now, obviously, at the minute, I've got this phased around leisure. I've got a meeting later on with the chamber to cater this around your businesses and to try and make sure that what I give you is for free is going to be catered around what you need. But it'll talk about what you do with, imagine you sell clothes and people have to try stuff on, then what do you do with the changing rooms? How does it work? If you need to make sure, if some other businesses like yourselves may get closed down, that may mean that you pick up more business. So are you prepared with your new leads procedure? How are you going to deal with feedback? What does your marketing campaign look like? What's the communication plan look like? Now, in the process of doing all this, I know this seems like I'm going through loads, but you will get a copy of everything that you see here. Also, what you're going to get a copy of is the plan that we put together built into an Excel document. So this will be saying about the PPE, and you can say who's going to do it, when are they going to do it, how long will it take them, when should it be finished by. So you can use this as a working document, again, just to make sure you can do stuff. Now, I've also built in some other tools and things that you may need. So if you are going to order PPE because you do want the public confidence to come back, now what they found in leisure is, so in Germany when they reopened, there's a couple of places that open without face masks and without screens, etc. And the public confidence, it was about between 30 and 40% of the business that came back within the first month, versus about 65% to 70% when people wore PPE. Now, in terms of your social media, you should be saying to people, look what we're doing to make sure this place is going to be amazing when you get back. We should be communicating left, right, and centre. But this is a guide about the PPE that you might need. This is a quick guide based on some of the stuff that I've got, which is a must, should, could to make it easy. Here's an example of some risk assessments that you will definitely need in your organisation about washing hands, what you do with your cleaners, cleaning, social distancing in general, what you do about PPE, if someone comes up with symptoms, if you've got any staff or drivers. So I've also tried to build or give you a base one to run them off. If you haven't got cleaning documents in your organisation already, then I'm giving you those as well. So these are examples of documents that will explain exactly, what coloured cloths you should be using for what areas, how you allocate tasks out, what people should be doing, etc. If you want standards of what your mirrors, what your floors, what your toilets should be like, there's some standards in here. I would advise you to do those again visually with videos, etc. I heard Visit England talking before about there'll be some testing and checking going on for things. So I built in some stuff here. I work with a company called Pro Insight, who've got 25,000 people throughout the UK who do mystery shopping. And this is a post-COVID check that they put together for you. In terms of marketing, here's a fuller breakdown of what you'd need, but I'll actually be able to show you the campaign on Friday. Data capture sheets if you need them, social distancing guides. These are the posters and different things that you may need, so you don't have to make all your own. I think it was Linda that was saying, sorry, Nikki that was saying before, we've got 44 companies on here. We don't need 44 different steps or signs for the step to say that you need to be 2 meters apart. Why don't we come together and create one so that the economies of scale become so much cheaper? Again, examples of communication strategies. So this is, who are we aiming it at? Have we done competitor analysis, SWOT analysis? What are the key messages? Who are we aiming them at? And who's going to do it? And when's it happening? So the idea behind the whole thing is you're going to get a full explanation of everything that you need to do. And then you can take this away and cater it around your individual organisation. So are there any questions? I know it's gone awfully quiet and my computer's just gone slightly funny.
No, it's okay. We can still hear you fine, Craig.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna say my screen's just gone blank, but it's all fine as long as you can see. I know my camera's still on, so that's fine. So yeah, are there any questions or anything else that you want? I can, as I say, the session's on Thursday. The second link that's been dropped into the chat, which is the Meeting Zoho one, is how you would register. You literally click on that, it will give you a link. On the day, you won't have the pleasure of putting your video camera on there, but you will be able to see what we're going through. Again, I'm going to video the whole session so we can get it onto the Wirral Chamber of Commerce site. I can guarantee you I will not spam anyone. You won't be getting any sort of communications from me. Everything will be handed over to the Chamber of Commerce. If I'm being honest, I'm pretty busy as it is. I'm not really doing this to look for more business. I'm just doing it to try and help. So it is very, hopefully it's quite thorough. The actual plan that we've got there was taken to government. And it's one of the reasons why leisure centres have been allowed to open before October, which is when the original date was. And it now looks like it may be coming back to the 4th of July because they can prove they've got a plan and a way of doing it. So, yeah, any questions? Fire away.
I've got a comment for you, Craig, and it's really just a thank you, because I think it's an extraordinarily detailed and helpful piece of work that you've done there, and it's great to see somebody putting a lot of effort in free of charge to help everybody else in the local industry. I think it is one of the good things to have come out of the current crisis, is actually that I think there is a little bit of that old wartime spirit with everybody pulling together to help each other out. So that is enormously appreciated. Any questions for Craig?
I think you've blinded them with it all.
I've got to say, I've either covered everything or I've thrown too much at them.
I think
I'm going to have a play with the tool. So, Natalie, will you follow up after the meeting with the details of how people can get involved with that? Because I'm quite sure a lot will.
I mean, just to reiterate to everyone, like Craig mentioned, underneath on the chat, you've got a link there to Craig's full...
It's the second one down. It's called Meeting Zoho. What I'll do now is I'll add it in again so it's at the bottom.
Perfect, do that. And like Craig mentioned, everything's going to be recorded. It's going to be fed back to the Wirral Chamber. So I would just say any questions at all, come through to myself and I can pass it on to you, Craig, if you want, or if you want people to directly ask you things on an email. I don't know what you prefer.
Yeah, no, my email is craig@ccleisuresolutions.com. If anyone's got any questions or queries, the problem is I've been answering these questions for creches, for play places, for museums, for libraries, for leisure centres. And people always think that, you know, if you've got a smaller business, it's nothing like them. But the reality it is, you've got a service and you've got to get people in and out. So, you know, if I've been doing this with one little studio or one PT studio, which can probably be similar to what you do, versus, you know, the whole range of like a velodrome that's got to get customers in and various different things. So I tried to simplify this for some studios, and I quickly realized that I have to talk about most of it because it's all going to be valid to your businesses. But I am going to try and strip it down as much as I can to make sure it's only the valid stuff that you're going to get. And me and Natalie have the pleasure of doing that about 4 o'clock today.
I know, I was about to say that. And on that, maybe perhaps what I'd like to say is I will also drop my email address into the chat. So anybody here today, if you have a particular wish list of what sort of things you would like Craig and I to look at when we speak at 4 o'clock, then please email me and I can make sure that we try and build in answering that within Craig's web.
Well, I've just dropped my details in now. One of the things I'm doing for the rest of the UK in terms of the leisure industry is, so and this is because obviously as soon as Boris comes out and says something and it's like, I'm not having to go with Boris, he's a lovely gentleman, I'm sure he's doing a good job passing on the information he's been told, but the reality is there's a lot of Chinese whispers. So I found that every week now I've been running a session which is basically an interpretation of the guidelines so people can understand it. And so it's basically, it's twofold. I do an interpretation of the guidelines, the new guidelines that have come up that week, plus any best practice that people are willing to share. So it's like, as I say, I can, if you're going to need floor sign, like the little circles on the floor, or signs saying wait here, or I've got all that done. All you've got to do is print it out and you can get your own printers. You won't even need to get designers. So I'm trying to do this whole thing. It's like the risk assessments. You know, we've got, what, 42 organisations on here. We don't need 42 people running off and making a risk assessment. Let's make one and then let 41 people adapt it. We've got enough work on our plate. and you know, we've got enough worries and things which are going on. It's things like the marketing. It's like the company that I've got a meeting with them literally directly after this to sort of say what size, you know, what do the packages look like that you might want to do, or how might you want to launch it, or how would you do your social media, what will that look like, and how will you build it all, and how does that look. So the ideas behind it is that they're going to give you a load of free stuff, but again, if you want them to help you even further and do it really, really well, then there's someone there to help. And if there's anyone on the Wirral who can do this, then perfect. I've already spoken to a web designer who's doing some stuff from a place called Redcore. They're based over in Wallasey, and they're willing to do sort of website checks for people to find out whether they can improve the website, etc. So it's about pulling together and trying to create one place for everything, which should be obviously the Wirral Chamber of Commerce. So, you know, if any new updates come on, that's where we should only need to go to one place. At the minute, it's like push me, pull me. There's something coming from every bloody angle. And it just makes it extremely difficult for us. So
we saw a question, a hands up. Anne Curry, did I see you right? Did I see a little hands up question for Craig?
Yeah, it was just a thumbs up. A really great thank you for thinking of that, and the fact that we all then, I'm only a sole trader, so the thought of all of this is like, oh my goodness, what we're going to do here. I'm also quite niche because I'm hiring vehicles.
Yeah.
So it's quite different. So the thought of trying to trawl around and find out what I need to do is.
And you'll have things like, yours will be the communication at either end of yours. So it's like when the delivery driver gets there, he can't knock on the door anymore. He's got to sort of ring. And so there's slight tweaks and changes, but that's all it is. It's just knowing what guidelines and what you need to do for your business.
Yeah, well, that's fine. And it really was literally a huge thumbs up. I was just using
it. Thank you.
I can use the reaction button.
And the only thing I'd sort of ask for is I've probably done this presentation now bordering on about 40 times. So all I'm saying to people, I will do it free of charge, but if you know anyone that's got a business that might want to jump on this, whether it's outside of the Wirral Chamber of Commerce or not, please get them on it. I can handle up to 250 people on the webinar, but I won't do it again. I will record it and that's fine, but you might have questions and you might want me to ask stuff for them. And obviously we have a section for that right at the end. What I also do, because obviously we'll get a list of all the questions, is we'll get the answers put onto the website as well for the Wirral Chamber of Commerce, just so there's a frequently asked questions section there for you as well.
Great, that's extraordinarily helpful, Craig. Thank you again on behalf of all of us for doing that, because I think
no problem. Can I relax again now then, Nicola?
Benefit. You can relax, you can go and have your glass of wine now. And that brings us to Dion Thomas from High Impact, who's just going to do a quick presentation to us on, say, some marketing solutions that they have come up with. So over to you, Dion.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yeah.
So Natalie asked me to come on today just to do a very quick presentation, because we were talking the other day about some of the ways that we've supported businesses with their marketing while people have been in lockdown. And a lot of you know of us, or maybe have met, I've certainly met quite a few of you already. But High Impact, we specialise in media and content for people. So we produce promotional videos and business videos, virtual tour, graphics, and in lockdown we've been supporting a lot of businesses with trying to get their message out there, because some businesses are struggling with the idea that they have to go digital now. Everything's online and they're not sure how to get their message across, and they're not sure what journey or pathway to go in. So we've done everything from explainer videos to promotion videos. We do it all with social distancing in place, and it's certainly, as businesses are preparing to open again, we've sped up in terms of our business and what we're able to do and how we're able to support people. But it was something that we demonstrated to Natalie the other day, is our virtual tours. And I know a few people might have seen these, but we've been able to adapt these to support businesses with the relaunch of and reopen of their sites. So I thought it'd be interesting to show you today a couple of the ways that we can help businesses in terms of their marketing of these sites, and certainly marketing their relaunches. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to pop a few on the screen and I'll talk you through them. For those of you who've never seen virtual tours, certainly the first one I show you, I'm just going to pop it up and then screen share. Certainly the first one I show you will be fresh for you, but for those of you who've seen it, the other two might be new. So let's hope this works. Can everybody see this? Yeah? Natalie, if you give me a nod, I've got you on screen. Fantastic. Right, so this is a virtual tour that we've done of Castle Rushen, and this is one of our initial virtual tours, something that we've been doing for many years with businesses. These are full 360-degree images. It's taken with special camera equipment. We go into sites and properties, and we basically scan these properties using this equipment, and it takes thousands and thousands of HD images and overlays them over like an infrared scan. And what it does is it gives you a perfect 4D replica of the building itself, so you can maneuver yourself around and walk through as if you were in the building. So something like this, it allows that fluidity of movement, and it allows you to explore the building as though you were there in person. Our 3D tours allow you to view as a doll's house, if you can look at the bottom left-hand corner, and also as a floor plan. So if we would take it to floor plan view, a castle is a little bit funny because it's very much not a symmetrical building in any sense, but a floor plan will allow you to look at various floors individually, and it also is perfectly measured to the nearest millimetre. So you can measure from edge to edge, you can measure a variety of rooms, diameters. It does help businesses a lot with things like decorating and even things like weddings, understanding the distance between tables and the distance between a stage and the front table, etc. But it also allows you to view as a doll's house, and it allows you to enter in at any point and turn and walk through the building. These tours sit on, embed into websites perfectly. We give you an embed code and they go into your website, and it doesn't pop out into a different window when you click on them. You stay within your website and you're able to view the tour within the website in a window. Lots and lots of businesses have used these, everything from hotels to schools. Schools are very are using them a lot at the moment for virtual inductions for their new students that can't access the school and can't come and visit the schools, being that they're in year 6, maybe moving into year 7, or even moving in from reception. So a lot of schools are using it for those virtual inductions. We've supported 14 schools over the past few weeks with that. Other people use it to show a room in a number of different setups. So if you've got a room that's used for venue for parties or events or for weddings, this type of technology can be used virtually to show that room in lots and lots of different ways. You can also embed content into the tours to make them that bit more interactive. So if you embed content, it'll show up as a little tag on the screen, and you can show videos within there, things that maybe you've got a promotion video of like an afternoon tea or something that your venue does that's specialised to you. Maybe it's a welcome from the owners. You can embed videos within a little tag, or you can embed a click through to something that you want to show someone specifically. We've had stores like football clubs, Norwich Football Club, Tranmere Rovers. I've used this for virtual stores so that you can click on the tags and you can purchase items whilst you're within this virtual tour as well. So it gives the people access to the things that they would normally go to, but at the moment can't do because they're in lockdown and because all the venues aren't necessarily open yet. So that's kind of our tours as a basis. The second one I'm going to show you is another version of this tour. So this is something we've done recently for the NFU. It's a farm. And we have done this very recently. This was within the last 2 weeks or so. So this farm here, it's a little different in the sense that we've taken an aerial photograph and they wanted us to zone in on certain areas. So what you'll see is these interactive tags that are dotted throughout. And what this allows us to do is to click on any one of these interactive tags, and it takes us through to that particular area that we've focused in on. I mean, I've taken you to the best area. This is really interesting, but it'll give you a 360 view of that particular area that we want to zone in on. And then obviously you can maneuver yourself around that particular area and see what you want, or showcase what you want people to see. So for the NFU, they're doing a big project on farming and want to make farms more accessible. They're also looking at enterprise projects and farms are used, how they manufacture food. And they're doing a number of these around the country, but this, as I said, this was one that we did a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, you can take it from that main tour and you can come back down and view it as 360s rather than that fluid walkthrough.
Dion, sorry,
yeah.
Just in case this is just my computer, I've been stuck in a room in the castle for quite some time, and I can't farm, okay. And I'm just worried in case anyone else.
Yeah, I'm on the elephant room as well.
Okay, maybe I'll stop sharing and reshare, and that might help.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the elephant wallpaper right now. So
right, if I go into this one, are you in the farm with me?
Yes.
Yeah, I just thought I'd speak up in case everyone's politely sat there.
No, you know what? Please do. That won't be anything to do with you. That'll be just to do with my internet potentially. But yeah, so
you talk us back through, because I think, like I say, you went from the castle. I didn't see anything else, so I don't know if it's worth.
Oh no, perfect. I apologise for that. That'll just be something to do with my internet access.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll let you back on.
Oh no, that's fine. So yeah, so as I was saying, the NFU wants us to do tours of the farm. So what you can do with this particular type of tour is you can take it from an aerial shot, which you all see this? I'm very conscious now. Can you see this? Yeah?
Yeah.
So you can take it from an aerial shot like this, and you can zone in on particular areas. So you can, each one of these tags is a different area, and we've basically done a 360 in that particular area. Now this works really well for large scale projects, and as I said, they want to feature their farms and the areas within their farm. So this is one we did 2 weeks ago. We're due to do another farm in another area of the country a bit further down. This can all be done by social distancing, because we go in with our camera equipment, and it actually works better if there's nobody there. Although with the farm itself, we did interviews with the farmer, and again, we did that from a distance, and we had measures in place in order to do that. But if I just click into one of these images, we'll go into something like this. I'm hoping it works again. Everyone see this?
Yeah, we're in.
Yeah, so all I can do here, I'll go a little slower, is you can 360 within this area, and again you can embed in content to explain it. You can pop videos in with the farm, and we're going to embed some videos of the farmer talking and explaining what the crop rotation is, etc, etc. I'm not a farmer, so I'm not going to pretend like I am, but anything that they want to use for their teaching information, maybe marketing services. So that's another way we can do our virtual tours, and I'll just show you the last way. So this is again, I hope this works. This is Nuffield Health. Can everyone see Nuffield Health?
Not just yet. We're in the farm.
Yeah, we're still in the farm building.
Right, I'm going to stop sharing and share again, and I'll show you the last one. Hey, are we in Nuffield Health now?
Yes.
Yes. So Nuffield Health's been a client of ours for a while, and obviously they're due to reopen gyms at the moment, but they wanted a way to market their gyms to their clients and explain how their gyms are ready and prepared for the new restrictions that are in place. So this is Nuffield Health. What we can do with that similar 360 view, what we can do is we can actually work with clients to Photoshop in all of the images that they will have in place for when they reopen. So somewhere like Nuffield Health has obviously got a lot of restrictions in place. What we do is we work closely on the type of restrictions that they'll have, the signage that they'll put in place, the way that we can corner off certain areas won't be in use, and we can present them with information such as you'll be allowed to use this area, this will be viable for you, you might not be able to use this area, and this is more to prepare their clients ahead of time for when that particular venue reopens. So with Nuffield Health, they're going to pop this on their website so that clients can see how they are prepared for their reopen. And I'll just show you a couple of the areas, because you can jump from 360 to 360 with this, and a nice important one is up. We'll go upwards, and I'm hoping this catches up. Are we all in the spin room?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in something like the spin room, you'll see that a lot of their equipment isn't in use, and what they've said is that capacity will be reduced. You've got to remember that the bikes are going to be wiped down. So this is a nice interactive way of explaining. Every other bike will be unavailable. This is a nice interactive way of explaining how the venue itself will be changing as it starts to reopen, and the things that they've put in place, because their clients will know this gym. They go to this gym often, but this will prepare them ahead of time, and it will also help them market to new clients as well. So this is, as I said, that'll explains really our 3D tours. I'll stop sharing so I can see you all. So yeah, these are just a few methods that we've used to support our clients with reopening, because lots of them are nervous about the fact that their venues are going to look different. They're going to have to put a lot of restrictions in place. They're going to have to put a lot of signage in place, and they want to prepare their customers for that as well. So as well as doing all of the videos to help and the explainer videos, this is another way that we can help venues to really interactively show that, and it sits right on their website. Now, I did speak to Natalie about the fact that at the moment we are reducing this cost hugely, because this is a paid service, but we are reducing this for Wirral Chamber members, and we've bracketed it out, and Natalie said she would be fine with me telling you the price range for that, if that's all right, just so that you're aware. Yeah, so we've just bracketed it out for Wirral Chamber members only, into a small, medium and large venue. Our small venues, and I'm going to explain it the way I would visualize it, our small venues are anything from a sort of 4-bedroomed house to maybe a small shop, and that would be 350 plus VAT to do any one of those tours that you've just seen with the embedded information in. Our medium would be £500 plus VAT, and that's something like if any of you've been to Spaceport and visited Spaceport, or been to a show home or a larger venue of some sort, that would be that 500 plus VAT. And a very large venue, something like a full high school, if you can imagine the size of a full high school, or even the farm that I just showed you with all of the various spaces, we're pricing that at 1,000 plus VAT. But that offer is just out for Wirral Chamber members at the moment. So yeah, so that's it from me. And if anyone has any questions, I would be sorry, I didn't catch this price for small venues. 350 plus VAT for a small venue. So yeah, if anybody has any questions about any of the things that we do, in any ways if you're struggling, you're looking for support in any way, by all means email me or chat to me here, and I can certainly help or advise and see if there's anything that we can do to help you out.
Dropping your email now into chat, and then everyone, you can copy and paste maybe the email, and then you can ask your questions direct to Dion. And by all means, you can copy me in if you want to pick up on anything.
Well, thank you very much, by the way, for allowing me to come and chat to you all.
I mean, thank you for that, Dion. And just by way of personal reference, I think Tranmere were probably one of your very early clients on this. You used it for to showcase the hospitality lounges at the club, but also the club shop, and the ability to buy stuff. And we're updating that now, because obviously the online shopping has become a much more prominent feature of what we're doing. So I can certainly vouch for how useful it is as a tool. So thank you for that, Dion. Thank you again to all of our speakers. We're now going to go to a Q&A session, largely based on the questions that have been submitted through the chat. So I assume you're going to lead that, Natalie, are you? Or is that Paula?
Yeah, I mean, to be fairly honest, just looking at it, Nicola, and I think everyone's kind of asked the question. I can't see anything new there. I think there's been lots of thanks given out, which is great. You know, everyone's really impressed, I think, with the information they've had today. I can see obviously Sharon wishes to talk to Dion, and Anne's asked her question. And now I guess what I'd just like to say is, if anyone does have a question, if you would like to ask it now. We've got the board you can talk to here, Vista Economy Board, the 3 speakers, there's directors here, and Paula Basnett, Chief Executive of the Wirral Chamber, is here to answer any questions. So now, honestly, it's a friendly forum for people to ask whatever they're thinking of at this point.
I mean, maybe I could throw a question out actually in the other direction, because I'm just interested in getting a sort of rough temperature check of our visitor economy businesses around how many feel they are going to be reopening whilst the very strict social distancing measures are in place, or how many are planning to ride it out until we're in a less complicated regime. I know for hospitality in particular, there have been concerns being expressed from a number around whether it will be profitable to reopen with social distancing in place and all the extra costs involved. So in a very unscientific way, I'm just curious to get a sense of where people are on that.
How do you vote?
I don't think. Well, I don't know if whether we could do a quick thumbs up or thumbs down. Thumbs up if you're if everybody knows how to do the reactions. If you're planning to open whilst whilst we still have these very strict measures in place.
That's it. If everyone uses the reaction button next to the record button. So if we've got some more hotels here, there's Tapas Gin, brilliant, excellent. Hillbark, yay. Let's see, what about you, Vicky, Mersey Maid? How are you doing?
I think, Natalie, one of the issues that we've had within the leisure industry with this is exactly what Nicola's sort of saying there is, in Germany, for instance, when they reopened, in the second week, they had probably 30 to 40% of business coming.
Yep.
By week 6 and 7, they were up to around about 60-70%, and by week 10, they were up to back to normal. So the key is can you open with 30 or 40% of possible business coming in with full costs? So that's the balance, isn't it? It's about how do you bring people off the furlough, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's a really big decision to make. It's not about jumping out and getting back out there and opening it as quick as we can, because it's no good if you're not driving people to your business.
Particularly with the furlough scheme in place, that's the balance of whether you're better off keeping people on furlough until you've got higher productivity levels possible, or get people back as soon as possible. It's a real dilemma.
Yeah, but we've also got the fact that the rent holidays now stopping as of now, so you're now going to be paying for something that you might, if you're going to be paying for it, is it worth using? So again, there's a lot of financial decisions to be made, but I'm a fan is you've got to be ready to go back. You really have, because and you've got to launch your business again. I think that's key, which it's great the stuff that Dion was doing there. If we can have a chat, Dion, by the way, because I can definitely get that in front of a load of leisure centres tomorrow, by the way, as well. But I just think you've got to have a plan and you've got to know what you're going to do. I have this vision that you're going to walk into shops and it's going to be like a scene from CSI with like black and yellow tape everywhere and everything sort of boarded off with big crosses on it. And do you know what? I understand why the supermarkets did it, because they didn't have time. But we do. We've known since we closed that we were going to reopen again, and we knew it wouldn't be for quite a while. So I think if we reopen, with these little sort of makeshift measures, I think it will destroy the public confidence a little bit. Again, what you're finding in Germany and in Sweden is that a lot of people will be keen to go and have a look. So they'll come and have a look at your site or your shop or your venue, and if they're happy with it, they'll carry on, and if they're not, they'll just stop. So we've got to be ready. That's all I'm saying. Yeah,
that's brilliant. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions or any other thumbs up or anything anyone wants to ask at all? I can see the chat's being populated a bit, which is great. So if everyone's keeping an eye on that, might make you think of another question. I mean, if not, if whilst anyone's thinking, can I just provide a further update? The Wirral Chamber are liaising with the head of Wirral Borough Council regards licensing. So we were just on a call this morning, and what we aim to do is send details to all our members with how to open outdoor space. So obviously, as you know, whilst we can't be socialising and going inside pubs and cafes and restaurants, it is being posed that those people, those businesses that have outside space that you can use is now being looked at, and we're trying to see how we can help with any questions around that. So until we create a document to send out to all of you, if you have any questions on that in the meantime, then please do message me directly on the email I put in the chat, and we'll try and get back to you. We are answering quite specific queries to people on sort of
Natalie, on that subject, one thing that I have heard a few people ask is, given our lovely British weather, when does an outside space become an inside space? Because some people have been saying, can I put a marquee up in the garden so if it's peeing down with rain, people can still come? But presumably there comes a point at which a marquee is an inside space. But I don't know whether there's any specific guidance around that, or whether we all just have to make up our own minds.
Well, I think that's what I'll talk to Sharon about, because I was on the call with Sharon, who is obviously leading on that for the chamber. So I will pick up on that with Sharon. But again, any questions like that, I think, like we said at the beginning, like Nicola very rightly said, is we need to come at this all together. You know, that is the benefit of being part of the Chamber of Commerce, being part of a network of businesses, that we all learn from each other, share best practice. And if we use the chamber as the point of reference where we can then go to the council and we have that dialogue, and we have weekly chats, daily chats. It might be hourly chats if you need to get everything moving quickly. So we just need to let you all know that please don't try and figure this out on your own. We are here to support you, and that's exactly what the Chamber's here to do. So Nicola, I'd love to take that comment to Sharon and see what we can do with that.
Yeah, because I think one of the other areas where the Chamber could potentially be helpful for visitor economy businesses is around some on the purchasing side. Particularly, I'm conscious that, you know, with hand sanitizer and PPE and all of that, that some people are taking the opportunity to price gouge, and whether there are sort of, we can put some suppliers up there, perhaps even if we can, favouring some Wirral based suppliers, but with an indication of the cost. So rather than us all spending half a day finding out where we can get the, you know, the best value masks, just sort of having a central resource for the things that we know our industry is going to need would be helpful.
Sorry, Nick, I pulled quite a lot of that into my presentation, so I have tried to take into account like a sort of like procurement, stickers, door wedges, because you're probably going to have to need wedge doors open. So there's a lot of like HEPA filters for your aircon. There's a lot of things that you really need to have a look at buying that will be disappearing very soon from shops. Right. So I've tried to pull that together for you in the session on Friday.
Brilliant, thank you.
Okay, well, I'm conscious of the time, everybody. I think we've managed to cram a heck of a lot in. I'd just like to know if there are any further questions, or if everyone's happy. We can end the session, and as you know, it is recorded, so please do access the recording when it's made available, and feel free to share it. Any questions, please do message any of the speakers or anyone here at the Chamber. But
yeah, and I think it would be useful also just to have some feedback from the session as to whether people have found it useful, so that, you know, we can do more along the theme as we go through this journey, if people would find it helpful. I'm conscious that people are probably sick of the sight of Zoom, but it's at the moment it's the best way that we've got.
Brilliant. Well, like Nicola said, yes, please. I would love some feedback. You've all got my email. I pester you all enough as it is. So if everyone can get back to me on an email with some feedback from today, that'd be really useful, and it can help drive further forums. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to all my lovely students and to the board.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Dion.